think we're most fulfilled in our life, we're most content in our life when we feel like we have purpose beyond our own gain, beyond our own four walls of our home. And at the end of the day, I've really been wrestling with this kind of purpose meter inside of me.
This is the Untamed Podcast, where only the few dare to go. We're building a community of adventurous high achievers who refuse to trade our dreams for comfortable mediocrity so that we can unleash our untamed potential. Could you be one of the untamed few? Now, your untamed hosts, Mark Lucas and Joel Fritz.
Mark, I've been thinking about how we all need a cause to attach ourselves to, something that we're fighting for in life, something that goes beyond our own family, beyond, I guess, the four walls of our house or benefiting ourselves all the time, like really something that we can fight for others outside of our, our own personal, what would I call it? Our own
Gain.
personal,
Gain?
Gain, yep. There you go. That's what I was going for, gain. So what's that cause? Like, I want to talk a little bit about this. What about you?
Yeah, this is a timely conversation because I've been thinking quite a bit about this right now, actually, Joel. I think at the end of the day, I think we're most fulfilled in our life, we're most content in our life when we feel like we have purpose beyond our own gain, beyond our own four walls of our home.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I've really been wrestling with this kind of purpose meter inside of me. How much purpose and meaning and significance am I really walking out in my day-to-day, in my monthly? And it feels a little bit low to me right now, to be very honest. It feels a little bit low right now, and obviously we want to be honest with ourselves and with the untamed few, but it feels low right now.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to articulate this more and more to my wife, and she does a better job than I do with regards to this specific part of the conversation, and that is this. She finds her why every day. So her why ultimately is boiled down into making other people better. So she finds ways each and every day, regardless of the mission statement of the organization she works for, she finds purpose in making other people great each and every day. So that's great listening, that's great empathy, that's helping them elevate their passion, their skills. She's constantly finding ways to lift up and encourage the people around her to make them better. And she does that great. And I share with her on the phone, this was actually just yesterday, I share with her on the phone as I'm really kind of navigating next steps and navigating kind of where God is leading me, where he might be leading me outside of where I currently am, but just navigating the steps that I'm in right now. And I share with her that for me, there's just been such an affinity to be a part of an organization that has a purpose mission statement and a why that is clear. Here's how we're benefiting the lives of others. Like, it is clear. We're doing foster care. We're doing some type of social justice act that's bettering the community. It's bettering lives globally, in the States, in the U.S. It's very clear. It's crystal clear. And I worked, as you worked for a long time within the organization of the church, and that statement was clear. There was a clear North Star compass to impact the lives of other people that were a part of that congregation, a part of the congregations that we served in. And when I get kind of outside of that mission statement in the organization where there's not necessarily, in my vantage point, a clear understanding of here's how we're helping people better their lives to be better individuals or impact the lives of others, I think for me that's been a bit of a wrestling. And I got to be honest, I got to do better where my wife's at, to find my why each and every day, to lift up the people that are around me and say, Lord, would you lead me and guide me today to bless somebody today? Would you lead me and guide me today to encourage somebody today? Would you lead me and guide me today to be able to edify somebody today, to be able to help them hone in their passions and their skills and better themselves because of a conversation, because of an encouragement, because of a time that I had with somebody? She does that really well, and I got to get better at that. But in the midst of all of this, it is this understanding what is our why and what is that kind of why statement that really moves us forward. I remember a long time ago, there was a church that was back in Arizona. I never worked for the church, but they had that Micah 6:8 passage that became kind of their central guidepost that said, okay, we're going to literally each and every day as a congregation, we're going to have ways that we really seek justice, walk out mercy with great humility.
Mm-hmm.
So justice, mercy, and humility were the social justice statements that they had within their church. And at the end of the day, they had metrics, they had ways, they had methodology beyond all of those things. It's kind of hard to have methodology about humility, but in all of it, mercy and justice was a big flag that they waved within their church. And I think for me as well, I think mercy and justice has been something that I've really sought after and really found great joy in my life to say at the end of the day, you're watching or listening to this right now and you see some type of news story that comes across the morning news or the evening news, and you kind of smack your hand down on the table or smack your hand down and say, if I could do something to change that, if I could do something to eradicate that or to make a difference, to make that better or take that away to some degree, then that's a beginning moment for you to be able to say, okay, how do you step into an organization, or how do you individually or as your family or in your corporation make a difference within that place, within that sphere? And right now, that's a little fuzzy for me right now in the organizational piece where I'm at and finding that. And that's been the nonprofit conversation that I've been wrestling with and just kind of thinking through all those pieces. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's interesting to think about, and appreciate you like revealing a little bit about your own life, because I think it helps me and other people who are listening to kind of process through their own lives in the way that they're wrestling with that, because it should be something we wrestle with. There's more to life than just getting and gaining and upward motion for us personally, and establishing our kids. I think it's really important for us to establish our kids, but it's also very important that we help our kids to see that there is need around them and to engage and to fight for something as well. And so I want to point out to everybody listening that I heard a few things from you right there. There are different areas where we're going to find this personally. We're going to find it in our family, or we should be looking for it personally, and we should be looking for it in our family, and we should be looking for it if we're leaders in business or in the marketplace. If we're owners, we could be looking for it in our own organizations. And I think there's something powerful that people often miss when they're business owners, is that the primary purpose that you're in business is to make a profit. We all know that, right? And if you don't make a profit, then the whole business is going to collapse anyway. So there's no point in doing anything else. But then when you look outside of that, and what are the real motivators in life? And now you're starting to talk about purpose. You kept talking about your purpose meter. And if you're an employer of people, that can be great and purpose giving in an owner's life, or a person who is running a company. That's a huge deal, because you're making the employees' lives better by offering them the opportunity to work there. And hopefully you're paying attention to their actual needs, not just the need of the company. But your company's for profit, and it's making profit, and it's also for the people that they can have good lives as well. But then there's this other thing where the company can actually be a beneficiary of things around them, causes around them that the company can fight for. And employees love that stuff. They truly, truly do, because it's something greater that they can attach themselves. I mean, even if you're making, it's like you're making something very similar, maybe you are simple. You make pillows as a company, but then you're able to do something else outside, and the company goes every single year and does a project, has actually invested or adopted a people group or an area, an impoverished maybe block in the United States or even another country. And you can invest that way and be giving, and you have something as a company that you're fighting for and doing those things, making somebody else's life better and investing yourself like that. So all that stuff gets me excited. And you know what? It resonates with employees too. So you see a lot of that happening. But I think that all ties back to we're looking for purpose in our lives, and we're always going to find purpose in actually doing things selflessly for other people. So we should be hunting for that cause, even if it's difficult to figure out.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, we've kind of wrestled with some of these bigger questions in life. And this falls into the camp of one of those questions that we all wrestle with. And these are the questions that we really have to have answers to have legacy and meaning and purpose and significance. And it's a question that we've said multiple times, and just framing it this way: are you living for something bigger than yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, as you ask that question, am I living for something bigger than myself? If the answer honestly is no, I don't really know if I am living for something bigger than myself. We've all been there. We've all had moments and seasons, maybe for long period of time, where we've lived in that space. We've got to break free from that. We've got to navigate and pray for opportunities and navigate the space of opportunity of, how can I live for something bigger than myself?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
Because to some degree, maybe a large degree, even if it's something that's kind of done every year in a company,
Mm-hmm.
it's the season of Christmas that we just came through and are coming through right now. When this drops, the episode, it probably is past. But as you know, Christmas, there's Toys for Tots.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, Thanksgiving, there's turkey drives. And even, I'll just speak for myself, but I think I could probably speak for everybody listening and watching. We know those things are coming. We know those things are kind of just things that have been done for years, and they've been successful for years. But I don't think we ever pass by the box or pass by the sign of the donation of that and think, what a waste. What a waste of time. Why would they do that again this year? We don't ever think that way. And if we're part of a company that maybe has been doing Toys for Tots for the last 20 years, we still think it's meaningful and beneficial, because we're not living for ourselves. We're living for other people. Are you living for something beyond yourself? And at the end of the day, we have to identify. I've got to look in the mirror and say, even as I do every Christmas going into Christmas season, and I look in the mirror outside of Christmas season and say, we maybe marginally got a little better, but I look in the mirror come into November and I think, Mark, don't let your family, don't let your kids be sucked into consumerism and marketing, where this whole Christmas season is about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we even had this conversation before Christmas, you and I. How do we live for other people and the joy of serving and blessing other people?
Mm-hmm.
This is at the very fabric of our souls and existence, of meaning and purpose. And that purpose meter will always be low if we truly are living, for the most part, for the comfort of ourselves and for our own needs and desires and gains. So we just got to wrestle with that tension. We're never going to solve it. We're never going to be able to have a solution that solves it forever. But as we manage that tension, we've got to truly ask ourselves, even if it's something small today, it will have a meaningful impact that's compounded from a tip that I give at a restaurant, to the ability I have to be highly relational with somebody at the gas station, to the ability I have to we have to make great eye contact with people, to smile, to give kindness. There's so many little but substantial things that say, you know what? I'm not just in my phone and living for myself as I'm passing by people today, but I'm truly going to really stop and be intentional
Mm-hmm.
in the ways that I can truly just bless somebody with kindness today, or eye contact today, or smile today, or find a way to pay it forward to somebody today. And that compounded little things will lead to, I believe, even greater things, of organizations that we can hitch our families and hitch ourselves to, hitch our organization to say, you know what, this is something that we all believe in. This is something that we really want to hitch to and be hitched to this organization, because we all bleed it.
Mm-hmm.
And we all want to see this thing eradicated, or to see this thing become better
Mm-hmm.
in society.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree and think that's really profound in a very simple way, that you should be thinking about it daily. You should probably be thinking about it daily, weekly, quarterly and yearly, something like that, in the way that we would begin to practice it, because practice does, actually yield something. It creates something within us. So if we don't ever think about it, that's the first place to start, is that an assessment. We like the 4 A's, we first assess. We recognize that there's something, and that's because that's what we have to accept, like assess, do I have a cause? And then accept, if I don't, then what am I going to do about it? And you're given a great roadmap for somebody to walk down like that. And then eventually that plays itself out into, we do find something bigger, or God presents something, shows us something that we ought to be paying attention to. And I get excited when I think of some of the examples that I've seen in life. I want to give one in particular. I love the idea of coaching sports at high schools. It's just such an amazing opportunity to be able to become a mentor to young men in particular. If you think about like a men's football team, or women, if you're a woman and want to, coach basketball, that kind of thing. I mean, my sister-in-law, she actually coached the guys' soccer team. I think it was back at, I'm trying to remember where it was. I won't say, but she actually coached the guys' soccer team, and that sort of a thing. But just the opportunity to mentor younger people. And I think I'm a Pastor Pat, a guy that I got to serve with for some time. And that guy has been a football coach for, it must be 30 years. But I always loved watching how passionate he was about that, and how he was able to use that as a mechanism to just really work with young men in a place where they needed to grow into becoming a man and understand deeper things than they were learning from their friends, maybe deeper things than their parents were teaching them. But it's just such a cool mechanism for him to have a cause. And I would always tell him, him being a football coach made him a better pastor. And it is so true. I mean, because his heart would bleed for these young men. He was so passionate about them. I think it's a great example, because people they can go and be a football coach, and that can be their cause in life. And they don't have to give up their job to do it. But I am thinking about other people who were post-career, post-exit. And one guy had a fabulously successful company. And then he went and he became the headmaster of a Christian school that was struggling. And that's not the first time I've seen that. I could probably come up with 3 or 4 examples of people that go in and they learn to lead in this environment in the corporate world, and they were successful. And then they go in and they help in, a nonprofit or a school education situation. And it's amazing what they can do, but they have a cause, and they fight for something. And it's really cool to see people in post-career or post-exit go and do stuff like that.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've been trying to do better at is, when it comes to this cause, when it comes to this kind of missional statement, I think I've spent so many years serving the local church, serving the nonprofits, and tackling big things, whether it's social justice things,
right,
whether it's things of third world country, water and food and basic necessities that we take for granted. Those things are amazing. But I've really tried to kind of peel back into the granular of the daily. What is something today that I can really do that will help me understand my why, help me feel that purpose meter? And a lot of this comes down to, for me, every single day, to some degree, we have relational connection. And I'm in an opportunity right now where I get a lot of relational connection with brand new people that I'm meeting for the very first time. So, and I think the audience, where that you can put yourself in a place where you're going to meet people for the first time. Maybe it's strangers, maybe it's people in the work setting, wherever it might be. I've really tried to think through, how do I position a conversation that's more about them than me? What does that conversation look like? Because if it really is leaning more towards them than me, there is a sense inside of all of us, I believe, of that purpose meter going up to the right and increasing. And there's been 2 C's that I've been really wrestling with that help me with this. And the first C is to give them a compliment, to find something in that dialogue of that conversation that I can truly compliment them on. Could be something as superficial. Women are way better at this, but women naturally kind of compliment on things they're wearing or things that they have on, accessories or clothing. But even for a man, and I think men don't compliment well, period. It's just not something that comes, I think, naturally to men. I'm not being dogmatic, but just in my experience of conversations with other men, we just don't do it well. So I've tried to find a way that's genuine to find a compliment. That's the first C. And it's amazing when this has happened, when I find a C, and it could be something as small and insignificant, but it seems very significant, as, hey, I'm complimenting, as I'm watching obviously a lot of pickleball right now, I'm complimenting somebody's shot that they just had in that game. So it could be as small as that. And then that changes kind of into the next C, which I love, is find common ground.
Common ground.
Common ground. So find a connecting point, a common ground point. What would the dialogue look like as you ask questions? People are so open to share if we will just become more masterful at asking the right questions. So what are the series of questions that I need to ask to lead me to a place of finding a common ground with this individual that I just hopefully was able to find a compliment as well? And those two C's, Joel, when I really kind of marry those two C's together, it's amazing the connection. The last C, it's amazing the connection that I have with individuals that literally I'm just meeting most of them for the very first time. And I really don't have any real substantial time frame of connection at all with this individual. So I try to do more of that recently. And it's really led me to a place. I've got a tattoo on this arm. And on this arm has Hebrew letters that have the number 2, then the number 24, then the number 26. And that is a twofold purpose tattoo. The first purpose is everyone in my family, my wife and 3 kids, that's one of their birthdays, 2, 24, 26. But then the verse in Ecclesiastes 2, 24 through 26, the end of 2:26 says that we will find, and the Lord will lead us to find satisfaction in work. Mm-hmm. There is this deep satisfaction that we can find in work when we truly navigate a deeper sense of our purpose. We truly navigate more of our why. And I believe that the central infused component of what gives you purpose and why and satisfaction in work is connection with people. And if you truly are, like I'm trying to get better walking out these C's, a compliment and finding a common ground, it's amazing to see how much more satisfaction I have and how much satisfaction I believe anybody will have, even in a job right now that you might despise and just not want to go to. So it's been really good for me.
Yeah, it's amazing how some of these things, when we become selfless, you can actually see how beneficial they are to us. Even having those attitudes, those small attitudes every single day, looking and going, what are people feeling outside of me? And instead of looking at them as what can I get from them, asking, what do they need? And that compliment thing, man, I love that. I try and do that. It should be more of a habit. It does come into my mind, and I love complimenting people, and it's always fun to watch the look on their face when you compliment them. Mm-hmm. Because I think more and more, it seems like there's just less people complimenting each other. There's more people antagonizing the other person. There's more people saying, like, this is what I think, and are you with me or against me? Like, just more and more of that, and less complimenting. But man, when you pay a compliment to somebody, they're just like, they just light up, or they're skeptical. That's the fun. That's the other funny thing.
It's so foreign.
It's like you watch, they're just like, what did you just say? And you're like, no, I'm sincere, and they're like, and then they're like, wow, that was a little bit, like, I don't know. I forgot what that felt like, to have a compliment. Yeah. But that's good stuff. And so I'm hoping our guys really will consider, what is their cause? And they think about that. And then they'd even think about it too, even when it comes to money. Oftentimes we've talked about, when you open our checkbook, what does it look like? Do we give? Are we free? with our money. That wouldn't be the first time that we've mentioned that in this podcast, but it is an important thing. Is that a habit of ours as well? Do we give? Yeah. Are we giving in certain circumstances? It's funny. I don't know if I paid attention more in December, but people have been coming up to me and asking for money recently. And I have a completely amazing wife. And so we were actually driving by on the coldest day of the year, a couple of guys sitting out in a parking lot. And we were headed to the grocery store anyway. So she's like, we're buying them some stuff. So we went and bought them sandwiches. And I was like, I don't even remember seeing the people that you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, they were sitting on the side of the road, like on the side of the parking lot. We're going to buy them something.
Well, you're driving. That's why you didn't see them.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'd like to think that, right? It's not just me being obtuse.
Yeah.
But I remember being in Trader Joe's and I'm like, okay, we got them the sandwiches. Let's go, right? Or we're done. And she's like, no, I'm going to get him a piece of fruit. And then she's like, what nobody probably ever gets these guys is like a chocolate bar and a treat, right? So this is my wife, like thinking about, and I'm just like, that is so cool. And sure enough, we pulled up, gave it to him. Dude takes out the chocolate bar first, just super excited about it. And I don't know, it's been happening, but I'm trying to respond. In particular, I don't want to just hand somebody money. Sometimes that's too easy, Mark. I'm like, what do you need? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I need some food. And okay, well, let's get you some food, right? Not just hand them a few bills. Yeah. That's a little bit hard because there's some tension with it, but I think it's a better way to go. Yeah, all of that. It's good. Recognizing the people around us and then being willing to open up and give because there's a lot of good causes out there worth giving to.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Appreciate this dialogue today.
Me too, bud.
It's been meaningful for me.
It's good being with you guys, and we'll see you next week.
If this episode sparked something in you, please subscribe and even share it with someone who's ready to take their life to the next level. We're always on the hunt for men who are looking to become untamed and release their untamed potential. Also, if you found value in this conversation, then please rate the podcast and leave a comment. It makes a huge impact in building our community. We'll see you next time when the adventure continues, or maybe when yours begins.